Welcome back, Bridgewater College Teacher Education Program students. We're continuing our discussion about using the rectangle model to learn about fractions today. And today we're going to talk about subtracting fractions. In the previous video you watched about adding fractions, and today we're going to subtract them. You may recall that there are three kinds of situations that call for subtraction: a comparison, a completion, and a takeaway. So we'll make sure we cover one example of each of those. And I'll show you one example of subtracting fractions with like denominators, one with unlike denominators, and one involving mixed numbers. So here's our first example, and I should tell you that each time we go to a new example, we're going to talk about a word problem as well, so that our fraction subtraction problems are all couched in a word problem. Well, I have 7/8 of my homework done. You have 5/8 of your homework done. How much more of the homework have I done than you? So that's a comparison problem. Let's see how we're going to solve it. Well, we'll use the rectangle idea again. How about if I drag my rectangle onto our work area and I create eighths? There are several ways to do that. I think the easiest way for me to create eighths is to construct fourths and then divide my fourths into equal parts. And notice that our intent here is to divide the rectangle into 8 equal pieces. I'm going to color 7 of those eighths to represent the fact that I've done 7/8 of my homework. And I'll use the smiley face tool as we've used in previous examples. So I'll get the creative pen and I'll make sure I use the smiley face. Let's cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8. We need to subtract 5/8. So all I'll do is I will grab a smiley face and drag it off. 1, 2, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. Okay, I've removed 5/8. And here's what we have left. So we could say the answer is 2/8. And that would be a correct answer. But we're going to also remember that we can find equivalent fractions using the rectangle idea. In fact, what if I remove the horizontal line here? I'll just click on it and hit the delete key. Notice now that my answer shows 4 equal parts in the box. In other words, the box is divided up into fourths, of which only one of the bars is colored in. So the answer must also be 1/4. Indeed, 2/8 does equal 1/4. So how much more of the assignment have I done than you? Well, I've done 1/4 of the assignment more than you have, because I've done 7/8, you've done 5/8. The difference turns out to be 2/8, and 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. Okay, let's try an example using unlike denominators now. So I'll clean the board. This time the problem is, there's 2/3 of a pizza in my refrigerator. I eat 1/6 of a pizza. How much is left? Now, before we start solving this one, I want to call to your attention that the wording of that problem is crucial. I said there's 2/3 of a pizza in the refrigerator. I eat 1/6 of a pizza. I did not say I eat 1/6 of it. In other words, I'm eating 1/6 of a pizza, not 1/6 of the amount that's left. It's a very different problem to say I eat 1/6 of it. If I want the subtraction problem to be 2/3 minus 1/6, I need to say, as I did, there are 2/3 of a pizza in the refrigerator. I eat 1/6 of the pizza. How much pizza is left? And of course, we'll solve this problem using the idea of our rectangle. I'll divide my rectangle into thirds because I need to show that I have 2/3 of a pizza. So in a minute, I'm going to color in 2/3 using the smiley face. But I notice that I also need 6 up here, so how about if I use my horizontal bar and divide the rectangle into 6? Now remember that 2/3 represent 2 vertical bars. So let's use our smiley tool. I'll go up and grab my smiley tool. 2/3 would be this vertical bar and this vertical bar. Now this is a takeaway problem. So we need to take away 1 to the 6th. How about if I just click on one of those smiley faces and hit the delete key as if I've eaten it? How much is left? Well, one correct answer would be 3/6, because there are 3/6 of the pizza left. Notice that if I were to move this smiley down to here, I notice now that actually I've got half of the box colored. And I could show this if I removed the two interior vertical bars. Now that shows that the amount of pizza left is 1/2. And indeed, 3/6 does equal 1/2. So there were 2/3 of a pizza to start with. I ate 1/6 of a pizza. How much is left? Half of a pizza. For a third and final example, we're going to use a mixed number problem, and we're going to look at a completion problem involving subtraction. Let's clear a board. This time, let's say I need 1 1/2 cups of sugar for a recipe, but I find that I only have 2/3 of a cup. How much more do I need in order to be able to make this recipe? Well, indeed, this is a completion problem which calls for a subtraction. We need 1 1/2 cups of sugar. We only have 2/3 of a cup of sugar. How much more do we need? We have to subtract to find the answer. So let's get our rectangle tools out. We'll let that rectangle represent 1, and now I need a half. So let's divide this rectangle into halves. I think I'll make it vertical. So indeed, I need to color in 1 1/2. But I notice that I'm also going to need thirds here. So let's use a horizontal tool, and let's divide this into thirds. Let's also divide the original one into thirds. In fact, I'm going to divide the original one with a 1/2 divider as well, because I can see that I'm going to need 6. And so now I'm going to color in my need, which is 1 1/2 of a cup of sugar. I'll get my smiley tool. I'm going to need to color all of this for the 1. I need to color half of this, so let's color half. There's my 1 1/2 cups of sugar that I need, but I only have 2/3, so I need to subtract. So what I'll do is I'll subtract 2/3. Well, notice if you look over here, 2/3 would represent 2 rows. So if I were to take away this top row, that would be 1/3. If I were to take away the second row, that would be another third. I would be subtracting 2/3. So let's do that. Let's just drag these guys off to the side. I'm going to get rid of 1/3, and now another third. Now if we put our pieces together, we can see what we have left. What we have left is 5 of the 6 parts. In other words, we need 5/6 of a cup of sugar in order to make this recipe. Indeed, 1 1/2 minus 2/3 is 5/6. Now you'll notice in today's work we haven't gone through the process of doing this paper and pencil style. We haven't found common denominators as we're going to teach our students to do. But what we have done is we've used the model that's going to justify why we need to get common denominators. After all, if we're going to take away thirds, we need to have thirds down here. We end up finding common denominators in order to do our subtraction problem, just as we did when we added fractions in the previous screencast. Okay, no surprise, in the next screencast you're going to learn how to multiply fractions using the rectangle model. See you then.